Welcome back to Shinobi Striker. We're at the end of Season 5 of DLC and the last character, Isshiki, has just come out. Today we're gonna take a look at everything you get when you buy him, all of his cosmetics, the new ninja tool, and of course, the new jutsu. But first, this update also brought us a brand new map in the Hidden Cloud. There's basically a big building in the middle of the stage and a big area on each side of the building. The only way to go from one side to the other is through the building itself. And this building has two doors that you can interact with. If these doors were always open, you could get from one side to the other pretty quick, but they are not. And the only way you can open them is from the outside, which means if you're inside and the doors are closed, you gotta take one of these side corridors to leave, which can cost you some precious seconds. It really feels like you're taking the long way around. So it's a very unique map, unlike anything they've done before, and I'd say it's probably my favorite out of the new maps they've added this season. But I don't expect that to be the case with a lot of players, since many seem to be very lost and confused by the layout. I'm sure that will go away with time, but for now, it feels like it's confusing a lot of people. I will say, in those players' defenses, this map has some weird spawn choices. For instance, in Barrier Battle, there's the stake that just seems impossible to contest. No matter how fast you move, you cannot get there with your whole team in time to defend. There's a spawn in Capture the Flag where each team will spawn next to the enemy flag instead of their own, which is interesting, but right now players aren't used to that, so they're just super disoriented, and most of them quit before the game is even over because they can't figure it out. And there are also some jutsu that seem really good at protecting these gates because some attacks just go through them. So you could interrupt opponents trying to open the door, and I can see that being very annoying. Other than that, it's a super big map with very big and wide areas. Even inside, the building is pretty spacious, and I find this gate gimmick pretty fun too. That said, let's talk about Isshiki. When you buy the character, you get the Jigen face paint, Jigen's piercing as an accessory, and Isshiki's outfit. As far as cosmetics, that's it, but I gotta say that outfit looks kinda cool. I don't know about giving my character some abs though. Isshiki doesn't bring any new substitutions, but it does bring a new ninja tool for defense types, the Sukuna Hikona Black Staff, known only as the Black Staff from here on out. And this is my new favorite ninja tool for defense types. I'm a guy of simple tastes. Whenever I can, I run with kunai. I like fast projectiles that let me extend combos and interrupt enemies quickly from a distance. And until today, I had nothing of the sort for my defense type. For some reason, defense type ninja tools have to be bigger and cause explosions. Well, now, not only do I have something fast that travels in a straight line just like a kunai, I have the best kunai of them all. It only has 2 stalks, so it's something you cannot mash. You'll run out pretty quickly if you do. But if it hits the opponent, it will stun them for a while, almost like a smoke bomb. And on top of that, it's going to extend their substitution and ninjutsu cooldowns. 100% running this on every single one of my defense loadouts from today until the end of time. With that said, let's take a look at Isshiki's jutsu. First up, Hidden Jutsu, Sukuna Hikona, known only as the yellow eyes from now on. Jesus. This jutsu has a very long description, and when I first read it, it made absolutely no sense to me. It was only after using it a couple of times that I understood what it does. This is like the Sharingan jutsu, but for defense types. It will counter enemy attacks once you activate it, but unlike the Sharingan, this one reacts differently to ranged and melee attacks. If it's a ranged attack, it shrinks the attack immediately before it hits you. That's the lore explanation. In game, you just kind of see jutsu and projectiles turn to smoke before they hit you. It's kind of cool. If it's a melee attack though, you will teleport out of it, almost like a substitution. I mean, it is a substitution, but it's not the substitution you have equipped like the Sharingan. It's always the teleportation jutsu. Now, if the enemy attack triggered this teleportation, you gain a follow-up move that you can trigger by pressing the jutsu button again. And this follow-up attack will spawn these black staffs around the enemy and attack them. This can be hard to hit if the opponent is moving a lot, as it has some startup animation, but if it connects, it deals damage, reduces the opponent's speed, and increases their ninjutsu and substitution cooldown. To summarize, ranged attacks just disappear, melee attacks trigger this teleportation jutsu and give you a follow-up attack. Now, unlike the Sharingan jutsu for attack types, this ability does not go away after a single use. You can keep denying attacks for as long as it is active, which does make it feel a lot more powerful. However, it does not deny every type of jutsu. According to my research, you can deny the yellow eye with abilities like Amaterasu or Sasuke's Pull. Tsukuyomi also works, and Temari's Weasel too. What is the logic here? Well, the best I could find is since this ability is a dojutsu, meaning an eye jutsu, it can be countered by other eye jutsu like Sharingan abilities. That's why Amaterasu or Tsukuyomi actually work. But also, the Weasel is a living creature. And according to the Boruto anime, Isshiki cannot shrink living creatures, so he cannot deny that projectile. Karma will also work on this, by the way. That still makes sense lore-wise, so if you need to think about this logically, just think of Boruto lore. That said, why does Shadow Possession work? Well, you got me there. We tested a bunch of unblockable abilities, but this eye just denied denied a bunch of them, so it's not the fact that it's unblockable. Meaning, I got nothing. The yellow eye is a very defensive jutsu. It can keep you safe for a very long time, as long as the opponent doesn't hit you with one of these counters. That said, most of these counters won't hit you if you're moving around, as they don't have great tracking. And you can still fight while this ability is active, so you're protecting yourself while being aggressive. And if that sounds familiar, that's because it is. I can't really point to any individual defense type jutsu that's similar to this one, because there isn't one. It's unique in that regard, but you do have plenty of other defense type jutsu that will let players attack while being protected. So this one, even though it feels fresh, it doesn't really bring in any new way for defense types to play. Moving on to the second jutsu, humbly named Karma. This is another two-stage jutsu. The first part has you dashing towards an opponent and marking them, and then you press the button again to appear behind them, attacking them and buffing yourself. So stage 1, choke me daddy, and stage 2, teleporting kick. And when you hit that stage 2, you'll have increased attack speed and tracking, which is really good. This ability is also armored, but only after you connect with a target. While you are choking them, you cannot be interrupted. However, you can be interrupted on your way to choke them. So you really need to be careful on when you use this ability. That said, it has some incredible combo potential. Once you mark someone with Karma, if you can pick up the combo again, you can always finish with that teleport kick, no matter how far you knock the opponent away. It's like unlocking a new combo finisher, and it is beautiful. And defense types aren't really combo heavy characters. They armor through a lot of stuff and stop mashers, but combos aren't really their thing. So this is really nice to see, an actual combo jutsu for defense types. It's always great to have more because it increases the number of options we have for combining different jutsu and executing different combos. I'm a big fan of this one. That said, if you ask me which jutsu I think is stronger, it's definitely the yellow eyes. I just think that doesn't really bring much new to defense types, but it's still a jutsu that makes you pretty vulnerable to a lot of stuff. So obviously, if there's one jutsu that will become meta, it will be that one. This one, however, is my favorite because I'm a sucker for combos. I'm also a sucker for cool ultimates, and this is a pretty cool one. Hidden Jutsu, Vast Dark Heavens. A jutsu that rains gigantic boulders down on the enemy. And by gigantic boulders, the game means big cubes. A total of 10 cubes will rain down from the sky over time, trying to hit every enemy around you. The tracking is kind of random. You don't choose your target. The jutsu just has a mind of its own. It starts picking players, and then randomly cubes fall out from the sky. Now, if the players get hit, a single cube probably won't kill them. But because there are 10 cubes falling one after the other, they can die if they're not careful. The cubes aren't too hard to dodge if that's all you're focused on. The problem is when you're getting jumped by the enemy team, and the weather forecast is Rubik's Rain. On top of that, even if they dodge the cube, they might get hit by a small shockwave around the cube, which will also damage and debuff enemies, removing their lock-on and status checks. In fact, the whole HUD disappears. Congratulations, you've unlocked Shinobi Striker Cinematic Mode. And if you're the one activating this ultimate, you can totally move around while the cubes are falling. That's perhaps the best part about all of this. It's not an ultimate that you just launch and hope it connects, because you can actively chase kills while the cubes are falling from the sky. That said, I do think the secret jutsu takes too long to charge, and for the time it takes, it might not be worth picking. That's debatable, and a balance patch can change that overnight, but right now, that's just how I feel about it. And that is Isshiki in a nutshell. I think he's fine as a DLC. I personally wouldn't go out of my way to buy him, but if you already have him because you bought the season pass, he's okay. It just doesn't feel mandatory for defense types. But if you've played Isshiki, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and come back tomorrow to watch some cool Isshiki loadouts that I was able to come up with. Maybe that will help you make your mind on whether you want the DLC or not. Until then, here's some cool loadouts with the previous DLC, Baryon Mode Naruto. Thanks for watching. Bye.